The entire martial arts arena burst into an uproar due to Lin Dong's words, even causing figures like the heavenly dragon demon commander to look at him with some surprise. They knew full well the strength of Zhou Yi and his brother. In a one-on-one fight, they could only hope to reach a draw with them. While Lin Dong's combat abilities were comparable to experts at the revolution stage, his intention to take on both brothers alone seemed overly ambitious. After all, no matter how capable Lin Dong was, he was, at this moment, only at the great completion of the death mystique stage. Little Yin also seemed taken aback by Lin Dong's words, but he merely glanced at him without commenting. Though he was somewhat doubtful, he refrained from questioning Lin Dong due to his trust in him. "Brother Lin Dong, are you suggesting that you want to take on both me and my brother?" Zhou Yi's expression turned a bit odd. He was well aware of Lin Dong's remarkable combat prowess, able to contend with revolution stage experts while only at the peak of the death mystique stage. In a one-on-one fight, Zhou Yi was uncertain of his own chances of victory. But to take on both brothers? Was that not somewhat audacious? Lin Dong nodded, his voice calm and unwavering. "What's wrong? Don't you want to seize this opportunity?" Lin Dong understood that Zhou Yi and his brother were proud men. Even though circumstances had forced them to join the Four-Elephant Palace, they likely harbored their own ambitions. To truly command their respect, he would need to strike with such force that it left them without a shred of defiance. Moreover, this was also a warning to others, a deterrent not only for Zhou Yi and his brother, but for the growing number of formidable figures within the Four-Elephant Palace. "Haha, if Brother Lin Dong insists on honoring my brother and me, we wouldn't dare decline." Zhou Yi laughed heartily, a flash of excitement in his eyes. To him, it seemed Lin Dong was essentially offering them the chance to take leadership. Lin Dong merely smiled in response, offering no further explanation. "Zhou Li, why don't you face Brother Lin Dong first?" Zhou Yi suggested, evidently not wanting both of them to attack at once, as they still intended to rely on Lin Dong in the future. "All right," Zhou Li nodded, then cupped his fist toward Lin Dong with a smile. "Brother Lin Dong, please forgive me if I offend." Boom. The moment he finished speaking, a vast surge of primordial energy erupted from Zhou Li, sweeping across the arena. Within that primordial energy was a perfect blend of life and death essence, vast and boundless like the ocean. The powerful pressure began to spread, causing some of the Four-Elephant Palace's powerhouses to show subtle changes in their expressions. The Zhou brothers, though admittedly arrogant, were not lacking in ability. It was no wonder they held dominance in the Western Sand region. "I've long heard that Brother Lin Dong, even at the death mystique stage, can rival experts of the revolution stage. Today, I, Zhou Li, shall witness it myself." With a loud laugh, Zhou Li waved his sleeve, sending torrents of primordial energy surging behind him. His foot came down heavily, cracking the stone floor, and before the crowd could react, he vanished in a flash of light, reappearing before Lin Dong midair, where he struck with a thunderous palm. Boom! The very air seemed to disperse from the impact, as a massive primordial energy palm imbued with life and death essence materialized out of thin air, striking fiercely toward Lin Dong. Lin Dong raised his head, his black eyes reflecting the approaching palm. His hands hung at his sides, showing no sign of preparing to counterattack. Those around watched, puzzled by his lack of action. In an instant, the massive palm was inches away. But just as it was about to enter within 10 feet of Lin Dong, it suddenly froze, then exploded with a loud bang under the shocked gazes of the spectators. What? Zhou Li was momentarily stunned, sensing that his primordial energy palm had, in that critical moment, somehow lost its connection to him and detonated on its own. Lin Dong's calm gaze swept across the astonished crowd as he slowly began to rise. Behind him, a radiant silver glow emerged, like a brilliant sun. That's solidified spiritual energy? There were plenty with keen insight in the crowd, particularly figures like the heavenly dragon demon commander. When they saw the blazing silver aura behind Lin Dong and sensed the vast energy that even unsettled them, their expressions shifted dramatically. Could it be? Brother Lin Dong's spiritual energy has reached the Talisman Grandmaster realm? The exclamation burst uncontrollably from the Ghost Eagle Demon Commander. The commanders exchanged glances, unable to conceal their shock. The Talisman Grandmaster realm was a profound level of spiritual energy, and upon reaching it, one could wield astonishing power. Although they had known that Lindong had impressive spiritual power in the past, back then, he had not yet reached the Talisman Grandmaster realm. And now, just after a brief 3-month disappearance, he had grown to this terrifying extent? You too should join forces. If not, this opportunity will slip away in vain. From above, Lindong looked down at the two stunned figures of Zhou Yi and Zhou Li, and with a faint smile, he spoke. So Lindong's spiritual power has grown to this level. It seems I have overestimated myself and made a fool of myself. Zhou Yi's expression turned serious. He knew very well just how formidable a talisman master at the Talisman Grandmaster realm was. Although both the reincarnation stage and Talisman Grandmaster realm were considered to be on the same level, in actual combat, a Talisman Grandmaster was definitely more powerful. Let's strike together, Zhou Yi said, his gaze turning toward Zhou Li, his voice low. Boom! Two vast auras erupted from their bodies without reserve, as the overwhelming primordial energy spread through the air. Then the two raised their hands to form identical hand seals. The vast primordial energy surged like a tidal wave as their hand seals shifted, eventually converging above their heads to form a massive black and white compass, around 1,000 feet in diameter. The compass vibrated with incredible power, its waves continuing to intensify. Life and death, heavenly compass. A low shout came from both of their mouths. The black and white compass began to spin rapidly, and the surrounding space was torn apart by the force, creating deep cracks. Lindong, this is the most powerful defensive move of my brother and me. If you can break it, my brother and I will be at your command. If we defy you in any way, we will face heaven's wrath and earth's destruction. Below the compass, the two brothers stood tall and proud, their voices carrying across the sky. In the air, Lindong merely smiled at their words and said nothing. He slowly closed his eyes, and at that moment, everyone could feel the world around them dimming as though the very atmosphere was heavy with a dark pressure. Brilliant silver-white spiritual power surged from Lindong's body like an endless ocean, spilling out and forming a colossal figure over 1,000 feet tall behind him. The giant stood tall, its entire body shimmering with silver light. Its movements exuded an almost destructive force that spread out in waves. Suddenly, a powerful hurricane howled across the sky. Within mere moments, it spiraled into a massive tornado that stretched 1,000 feet high. The violent winds carried a terrifying tearing force. With his eyes still closed, Lindong stood in front of the giant. The massive figure raised its hand and, with a powerful grip, seized the tornado with ease, causing gasps of amazement from the onlookers. Buzz. Silver-white spiritual power poured into the tornado, and thousands of silver beams shot out from the storm. The whirlwind twisted and morphed, as though it had transformed into a sword forged from the very storm itself. Those watching below were stunned. While it was possible for a reincarnation stage expert to use primordial energy to form a giant sword of such magnitude, controlling a tornado and turning it into a sword was something else entirely. The difference was clear. Spiritual power at this level had undergone a dramatic transformation compared to what they had seen before. Zhou Yi and Zhou Li's faces twitched. No wonder people said that once an expert reached the Talisman Grandmaster realm, the power displayed was on an entirely different level from that of a mere primordial energy expert of the same rank. Buzz. As the two brothers' expressions grew increasingly tense, the black and white compass spun faster, indicating they were putting all of their primordial energy into it. At this point, they could no longer afford to underestimate Lindong. The giant clasped the storm sword in its hands, then swung its arm down, sending the hurricane sword crashing downward. The winds were so violent that the surrounding mountain trembled as if it might collapse. Ancestral Talisman Sword. At the moment the giant swung its sword, a soft voice echoed in Lindong's mind. Boom! A strange array of symbols appeared along the tip of the sword, and the blade suddenly blazed with brilliant lightning. Deep within the lightning, an ancient symbol seemed to be floating. At that moment, the heavens and earth seemed to tremble with the force of wind and thunder. Boom! The strike, as if it had split the very heavens, crashed into the massive black and white compass. The shockwave exploded with devastating force, and the entire arena was shattered. Even as they retreated in disarray, their gazes remained fixed on the source of the shockwave. There, the hurricane sword was flashing with dazzling lightning, fiercely clashing with the compass. Amidst the confrontation, the light grew ever brighter, and the eyes of the onlookers gradually narrowed. They could see fine cracks beginning to appear on the black and white compass, imbued with the full primordial energy of Zhou and his companion. How could this be? Zhou and his companion muttered in disbelief as they stared at the growing cracks of light above. Had they failed to withstand Lindong's attack, even after joining forces? Crack. Despite their disbelief, reality was merciless. The cracks on the compass grew denser until it finally shattered and exploded. As the energy storm surged, the hurricane sword, still flickering with lightning, pierced through the fragmented life and death compass. Amid the shocked silence, it hovered just 10 meters above Zhou and his companion, exuding a sharp aura that left blood marks on their skin. In the silence, Lindong slowly opened his eyes in the sky. His calm gaze fell upon Zhou and his companion, who wore dazed expressions. His voice, as tranquil as his gaze, echoed forth. "You lost." As Lindong's words resonated from above, the previously quiet crowd began to stir, many of them revealing faint smiles as they tried to suppress their astonishment. No one had expected the battle to end so quickly. They had thought that this confrontation would drag on for some time before a victor could emerge. But reality had shown them what decisiveness truly meant. "We lost." The stunned expressions on Zhou and his companions' faces lingered for a long while before they gradually snapped out of it. They exchanged glances, their faces slightly pale, and eventually nodded with some difficulty, conceding the point. What overwhelming spiritual energy! The heavenly dragon demon commander and others looked at the result before them, a weight of gravity appearing in their eyes. Lindong's previous attack had clearly been his full strength. The power of that strike had sent chills down their spines even from a distance. Had it been directed at them, they likely would have suffered serious injuries, even if they managed to withstand it. The three demon commanders lifted their heads, gazing at Lindong's slender figure in the sky with complex emotions. When they had first encountered him, he had struggled to contend with them, relying on a variety of tactics. But in less than a year, this once insignificant youth had gradually approached, and now, even surpassed them. This rate of progress was nothing short of terrifying. With a quiet sigh, any lingering reluctance in the three demon commanders' hearts finally faded. Given Lindong's current strength, they could no longer find any excuse to challenge him. Lindong had truly earned his place as the rightful leader of the Four-Elephant Palace, a status they could now fully respect, regardless of his position as the Talisman Elder of the Dragon Clan. Above, the silver giant behind Lindong slowly dissipated, and warm sunlight once again bathed the ravaged square below. Exhaling a silvery breath, Lindong felt the vast spiritual energy surging within his Naiwan palace, a trace of satisfaction crossing his face. After advancing to the Talisman Grandmaster realm, the power of his spiritual energy had transformed immensely. Though he was currently at the level of a little Talisman Master, he no longer feared facing any other reincarnation stage opponents, except perhaps beings like the heavenly demon Mink Clan's Grand Elder Zhuli, who had touched upon the revolution stage. The years of bitter solitary cultivation in purgatory had not been in vain. "Thank you for the match, both of you." Lindong, suppressing his inner thoughts, descended and looked at Zhou and his companion, who wore slightly defeated expressions. The warm smile on his face was entirely different from the earlier chill. Zhou and his companion quickly responded, shaking off their former arrogance. They had always taken pride in their own strength, and while the Four-Elephant Palace was formidable, they had considered even the heavenly dragon demon commander only an equal, never a superior. "Since both of you are inclined to join my Four-Elephant Palace from now on, you shall hold the title of elders within our ranks. As for your former subordinates, they may also be integrated into the palace. However, once they enter, they must abide by our rules, Violations will not be tolerated, Lin Dong declared. Understood. Zhou and his companion nodded in agreement. They knew well that they lacked the capability to properly train their own followers. Otherwise, their subordinates wouldn't have been such a scattered, undisciplined bunch. Now that they had joined the Four-Elephant Palace, naturally, they wouldn't be allowed to bring chaos with them. Seeing Zhou and his companion finally subdued, the Heavenly Dragon Demon Commander and his allies breathed a sigh of relief. They silently admired Lin Dong's skillful handling of the situation, acknowledging that they likely couldn't have tamed the prideful Zhou duo as he did. Increased training intensity. Soon, significant events will unfold within the demon realm, and our Four-Elephant Palace must be prepared to take its place. Lin Dong turned to the Heavenly Dragon Demon Commander and his associates, instructing them. In less than a month, the Devouring Deity Temple would emerge, sparking a frenzy across the demon realm. Lin Dong knew it was time to make preparations. Although most wouldn't understand the temple's secrets at first, it wouldn't take long for word to spread, drawing countless powerful figures eager to seize the legacy of the Devouring Lord amidst the ensuing chaos. A feat far from easy. The Heavenly Dragon Demon Commander and others appeared somewhat puzzled by Lin Dong's words, but, seeing him offer no further explanation, simply nodded. Heavenly Dragon, escort elders Zhou and his companion. Help them familiarize themselves with the Four-Elephant Palace and assign them specific responsibilities. Understood. The Heavenly Dragon Demon Commander replied with a nod. After issuing his instructions, Lin Dong left without lingering, heading towards the main hall with Little Mink and Little Yin following close behind, leaving a crowd of Four-Elephant Palace elites murmuring in admiration. Brother Lin Dong's strength becomes more unfathomable by the day, commented the Golden Ape Demon Commander, watching Lin Dong's figure as he entered the hall. To think, he reached the Talisman Grandmaster realm in just 3 short months, said the Ghost Eagle Demon Commander with a wry smile, clearly impressed. Enough chatter, the Heavenly Dragon Demon Commander interjected. Brother Lin Dong is backed by the Dragon Clan and the Heavenly Demon Mink Clan, a privilege beyond ordinary reach. The fact that the Four-Elephant Palace can defy the Meng Mountain and deter even the 9 Phoenix Clan is all thanks to his backing. This palace could do without us, but it cannot afford to lose Brother Lin Dong. Glancing at the others, he added calmly, with Brother Lin Dong's talent, who can say he won't one day step into the reincarnation stage? By then, who in the demon realm wouldn't know the Four-Elephant Palace? And we would rise to prominence along with him. Such a reputation far surpasses any petty regional rule. So if you harbor any other ideas, I suggest you extinguish them quickly. Brother Lin Dong's methods are clear enough. The Golden Ape and Ghost Eagle Demon Commanders exchanged a glance, then nodded silently. Big brother, have you advanced to the Talisman Grandmaster realm in spiritual energy? Little Yin asked excitedly within the main hall. Yes, Lin Dong replied with a smile, looking up at Little Yan's towering form. Standing side by side, he and Little Mink combined were still less than half his size. How has the Four-Elephant Palace been during my absence? Lin Dong asked with a narrowed gaze, knowing Little Yin had managed things alone since he left. With his strength not yet at the revolution stage, he wondered if the Heavenly Dragon Demon Commander trio would truly submit to his authority. Big brother, rest assured. The Heavenly Dragon Demon Commander trio may be powerful, but they're reasonable. They haven't engaged in any covert defiance, Little Yin reported with a nod. That's good to hear. Lin Dong felt reassured. The Four-Elephant Palace would be his stepping stone for returning to the Eastern Xian region one day. If the Heavenly Dragon Demon Commander trio tried to undermine him, he would have no choice but to deal with them harshly. By the way, big brother, the Celestial Demon Tiger Clan approached me recently, Little Yin added, scratching his head. Oh. Lin Dong was momentarily taken aback. The Celestial Demon Tiger Clan, one of the 8 ancient lords and a considerable power, sought out Little Yin, likely because he now carried their bloodline. It was an elder from the Celestial Demon Tiger Clan. He said I had immense potential and could even compete for the clan leadership, Little Yin explained. Compete for the clan leadership? Lin Dong looked surprised. Though Little Yin shared the Celestial Demon Tiger Clan's bloodline, he had no prior ties to them. How could they allow a stranger to vie for the leadership? The Tiger clan values strength over blood. As long as one possesses their bloodline, they're eligible to compete for the leadership, provided they have sufficient power. The competition is intense, with only one victor. Most others perish along the way. Little Mink remarked lazily, casting a sidelong glance at Little Yin. It seems that Elder has ulterior motives. Lin Dong furrowed his brow. He hadn't expected that the competition for the clan leader position of the Celestial Demon Tiger clan would be so brutal. Let's put this matter aside for now. We will dive into this mess once we are sure of our chances. There's no rush for the moment, Lin Dong said, shaking his head cautiously. Little Yin had no objections to this. As long as Lin Dong did not agree, he would never go against his decision. By the way, big brother, what exactly is the major event you mentioned would happen within a month? Little Yin couldn't help but ask, remembering Lin Dong's previous words. His curiosity piqued. Lin Dong sat in his chair, let out a light breath, and murmured, "The Devouring Deity Temple." Little Yan's body stiffened, and his expression turned grave. When Lin Dong returned to the Four-Elephant Palace, after intimidating Zhou Yi and his brother that day, things calmed down, and the two brothers hadn't caused any more trouble. The entire Four-Elephant Palace fell into a quiet state. However, at Lin Dong's request, this quiet was accompanied by an air of tension. The atmosphere in the palace became unusually taut, and the defenses were growing more and more stringent. Days passed under this tense training regimen. Then, on a certain day, more than 10 days later, Lin Dong sat cross-legged in the palace atop the mountain. He looked down at the many strong cultivators of the Four-Elephant Palace training on the square below, feeling quite satisfied. Just as he was about to leave, his expression suddenly shifted, and he abruptly looked up, his black eyes gleaming with an ecstatic light as he stared toward the distant northern sky. At the center of his forehead, a crack appeared, and the mysterious eye of the ancestral talisman slowly materialized. Under its gaze, Lin Dong's vision seemed to penetrate space itself. He saw, far to the north, a massive crack in the space, from which a terrifyingly violent energy began to surge, as if it were about to overwhelm the entire world. The primordial energy of the entire world seemed to go into disarray. "It's finally been born," Lin Dong murmured, his eyes narrowing as the eye of the ancestral talisman slowly withdrew. His hand clenched into a fist, and the surge of emotion in his heart wouldn't settle. This was the day he had been waiting for. Far in the northernmost region of the demon realm lay an ancient wasteland, where the bitterly cold wind howled like a blade, tearing through the land, leaving it pocked with deep scars. This was a remote area of the demon realm, so harsh and inhospitable that few dared to settle here. From ancient times to the present, hardly anyone had ventured into this place, making it a gathering ground for savage demon beasts that had not yet awakened their intelligence. Though these creatures were all demon beasts, they were more beast-like, with low intelligence. Because the region was so sparsely populated, many of these beasts carried bloodlines passed down from ancient times. These bloodlines, although worn and faded, still held immense power and a killing instinct, which made this remote land even more desolate. At the deepest part of this region, an astonishing change took place in the sky. The space itself seemed to twist violently, and a massive black crack, thousands of feet long, tore open. Boom! An indescribable wave of energy surged from the crack, spreading at an incredible speed, eventually forming beams of light that shot into the sky. These beams of light could be seen clearly even from thousands of miles away, and the energy they radiated caused countless onlookers to be struck with awe. As these beams shot toward the heavens, the sudden disruption of energy in the demon realm quickly caught the attention of powerful beings from all directions. The Dragon Realm, which stood to the north of the demon realm as one of the dominant clans, immediately sensed the unusual energy fluctuations. In the Dragon Realm sky, the sound of wind breaking filled the air as figures appeared out of thin air. The first to appear was Yuan Qian, the clan leader, his face solemn as he gazed toward the north, his eyes filled with a deep sense of shock. "Clan leader, this fluctuation?" A dragon clan elder asked with a serious expression. "I don't know which peak expert has emerged," Yuan Qian replied, shaking his head. But this doesn't feel like it's an emergence. From the way this space is disordered, it seems like a spatial rupture. A spatial rupture? Another elder of the dragon clan said, somewhat surprised. Yuan Qian's eyes narrowed slightly, and after a long pause, a sharp glint flashed in his eyes. In ancient times, many peak experts perished, and some powerful beings created spaces to meditate and pass on. I had detected this energy fluctuation before, but when I tried to connect with it, my perception was mysteriously devoured. Since ancient times, there has been only one being who could still possess such terrifying power after entering meditation. Devouring Lord? Upon hearing this, the elders of the dragon clan around them gasped in shock, their expressions filled with surprise. Clearly, they were not unfamiliar with this top-tier powerhouse from ancient times, who was once at the pinnacle of strength. Well, this is going to get really interesting. With the reputation of the Devouring Lord, I'm sure countless powerful warriors will rush to it. When the time comes, there will probably be a fierce battle for it, said one of the Dragon Clan elders. The legacy of the Devouring Lord was enough to stir even their hearts, let alone others. The Devouring Lord is someone who even our Dragon Clan's six-fingered sacred dragon emperor has suffered a setback against. As for the space where he meditated, I can sense a resistance towards me. Otherwise, my perception wouldn't have been devoured. But it's not aimed at me specifically. I believe it's directed at all the peak-level warriors who have entered the reincarnation stage, Yuan Qian said with a faint smile. What does this mean? One of the elders asked in confusion. It seems that the Devouring Lord doesn't want his legacy to fall into the hands of any peak-level warriors who have entered the reincarnation stage. Normally, those who reach the reincarnation stage have their own paths of cultivation, and it's impossible to change them. In that case, even if one obtains the Devouring Lord's legacy, it would be more of a burden than a benefit, Yuan Qian explained with a smile. This kind of legacy isn't something just anyone is suited for. The Devouring Lord probably wants to pass his legacy onto the one most suitable for it, Yuan Qian added. The elders nodded slightly, then asked, since the noise has gotten so loud, what about our Dragon Clan? This kind of spectacle naturally cannot be missed, but our Dragon Clan has the demon-subduing prison sealed beneath the ground, so I can't leave. For this, let Lu Qing handle it and lead a team to investigate. He's just come out of seclusion. Although he hasn't yet entered the reincarnation stage, he's already touched upon it. If he can obtain the Devouring Lord's legacy, he might be able to break through, Yuan Qian smiled. Lu Qing? That cultivation fanatic is out of seclusion? Hearing this, the elders were all surprised. Yes, he's an idol to people like Yin Shan and others, second only to Qing Ji. Oh, I almost forgot. Our new punishment elder actually possesses the Devouring Ancestral Talisman. It seems that he should be the first to sense this matter. With his temperament, there's no way he'll miss it, Yuan Qian laughed. Punishment Elder Lin Dong, huh? Hee. This is getting interesting. Lu Qing was once guided by Lord Qingji. I wonder what kind of spectacle will unfold when these two who both cultivated the sky-transforming dragon art meet. The surrounding elders laughed, clearly eager to see what would happen. Yuan Qian nodded, then looked towards the distant north. He felt the chaotic fluctuations in the world and sighed. This time, it looks like there will be quite a bit of turmoil. I wonder who will ultimately gain this great opportunity and successfully inherit the Devouring Lord's legacy. At that moment, while Yuan Qian and the others spoke in the sky, deep in the Dragon Clan's underground, within the demon-subduing prison, a mysterious figure dressed in black armor suddenly opened her tightly closed eyes. She slightly raised her head, her gaze seeming to pierce through the earth, looking towards a certain empty space. There was a trace of sadness in her eyes, and it was clear that she also sensed some familiar fluctuations. Your will, we will help you fulfill it. This world will never fall into the hands of the alien demons. She gradually closed her eyes again, and her faint voice echoed throughout the silent, demon-subduing prison. The fluctuations coming from the far north of the demon realm were obviously not only noticed by the Dragon Clan. Not long after, the peak-level warriors from the three great dominant clans, the clan of Celestial Demon Mink, the Nine Phoenix clan, and the Kuanpeng clan also sensed it, causing their clans to stir. Yuan Qian was able to deduce the origin of the ancient powerhouse seated in the shattered space from a few clues. Similarly, the other three dominant clans, with their experienced members, quickly speculated the identity of the Devouring Lord. Once this information came to light, it immediately caused a stir. Although the three great dominant clans had peak-level warriors who had entered the reincarnation stage, the Devouring Lord, an ancient powerhouse, was on an entirely different level. Even the reincarnation warriors were greatly tempted by everything he left behind. As a result, the three great dominant clans soon took action. This growing commotion gradually spread. After the four great dominant clans detected the anomaly, the 8 royal clans also sensed it. However, their foundational strength was indeed somewhat weaker than the 4 dominant clans, so they could only speculate that an ancient peak powerhouse had perished in that shattered space. Nevertheless, they couldn't ascertain the identity of this deceased individual. Even so, the allure of a legacy left by a reincarnation stage pinnacle cultivator was irresistible to them, stirring their ambitions. Such a grand feast was not something they would let pass. Of course, the vast and boundless demon realm was home to many formidable factions, aside from the 4 dominant clans and the 8 royal clans. Some of these groups might not be widely known, but their hidden strengths were considerable. Ordinarily, they stayed low-key, but their concealed powers were not to be underestimated. In normal times, these semi-concealed forces might appear dormant, but with such an enticing opportunity before them, even they could not resist reaching out. In summary, this event would inevitably shake the entire demon realm to its core. As the demon realm began to boil over, in a remote mountain range within its vastness, the black peaks exuded an eerie chill, shrouded by dark clouds that blanketed the sky. Amidst this mountain range, a thick black mist suddenly gathered atop one of the peaks, and a shadowy figure appeared within it, enshrouded entirely in darkness. His emotionless gaze fixed northward. So this is where the Devouring Lord perished? Even in death, that troublesome guy can't let anyone rest easy. The shadow looked north, a hoarse voice emerging slowly from within the mist. King of the Abyssal Ghosts, it seems that all major forces are dispatching their experts to the far north. Shall we join them? Another figure appeared behind the shadow, his silhouette squirming within the black mist as he cackled maliciously. For something of this magnitude, we certainly won't miss out. It took considerable effort to bring down the Devouring Lord years ago. If anyone were to inherit his power and become another Devouring Lord, that wouldn't bode well for us. The figure in front spoke with a detached tone. So, what's your plan? We head to the far north. Should anyone acquire the Devouring Lord's legacy? His voice trailed off, then a chilling killing intent surged forth, like a crashing wave. Show no mercy. At the 4-Elephant Palace, in front of the Grand Hall, Lin Dong stood on the elevated platform, surveying the gathered powerhouses before him with a satisfied look. Over time, the 4-Elephant Palace had grown significantly, its scale now many times greater than before. Moreover, top-tier cultivators now filled the palace. With 6 experts who had reached the revolution stage, including Lin Dong himself, who had achieved the Talisman Grandmaster realm, their strength was formidable. Such a lineup would be unrivaled not only within the Beast War region, but also in surrounding territories. Despite their growing power, the 4-Elephant Palace had been careful to maintain a stronghold within the Beast War region, refraining from reckless expansion. Although rapid expansion would certainly bolster their reputation, it would also expose them to unnecessary risks. Lin Dong's focus remained on the Devouring Deity Temple, leaving him unwilling to divide his attention on these matters. For this journey to the northern region, Ghost Eagle Commander will stay to guard the 4-Elephant Palace. The rest of you will come with me, Lin Dong said, glancing at Little Yin, Heavenly Dragon Demon Commander, and the others. Though the Devouring Deity Temple was of great importance, Lin Dong couldn't neglect the 4-Elephant Palace. Strong guardians were necessary to prevent potential attacks in his absence. He wanted to avoid the exhaustion of reclaiming his territory if it were seized while he was away. Such setbacks would waste both time and energy, outcomes Lin Dong preferred to avoid. In selecting these guardians, he made careful considerations. For instance, Zhou and his brother were unsuitable for such a role. Since they were recent arrivals, it was crucial to keep them close under Lin Dong's watchful eye. Leaving them to guard the palace could lead to issues. Among the reliable choices, the careful Ghost Eagle Demon Commander was the most suitable candidate for the responsibility of defending the palace. Leave it to me, Lin Dong. The Four-Elephant Palace will be in safe hands, Ghost Eagle Demon Commander nodded. Though he was disappointed at missing the excitement of the northern region, he did not question Lin Dong's decision. The remaining experts shall also stay to guard the palace. Maintain heightened vigilance during our absence. No errors are allowed. For this trip to the northern region, Lin Dong did not intend to bring a large contingent. In this contest, sheer numbers would make little difference. Only truly elite powerhouses would have the deterrent power necessary to succeed. The powerful figures from the Four-Elephant Palace below all responded in unison. Lin Dong took a deep breath, then waved his hand and said in a deep voice, "Let's go." As soon as his voice fell, his figure swiftly transformed into a streak of rainbow light and shot forward. Behind him, Xiao Diao, Xiao Yin, Heavenly Dragon Demon Commander, and the other four immediately followed. May the leader return victorious. Below, all the powerful figures from the Four-Elephant Palace clasped their fists in salute and shouted in unison. Amidst the booming cheers, 7 streaks of rainbow light streaked across the sky, quickly disappearing into the northern horizon. At the same time, as Lin Dong and his group set off, rainbow lights also began to rise from various places within the demon realm, all heading north. With the movements of these various forces, the entire demon realm was completely stirred. The demon realm was vast and expansive, so even though Lin Dong and the others were traveling non-stop, relying on their immense strength, it had already been nearly 7 days by the time they reached the northernmost part of the demon realm. During this journey, Lin Dong finally realized just how terrifying the allure of the Devouring Deity Temple was. Almost every day, he would see large groups of people. Most of these people were powerful, some of the forces he could barely recognize, while many others were unfamiliar. Yet, despite being strangers, the strength of these people still surprised him. It seemed that the demon realm indeed harbored many hidden talents. Most of these groups were only aware that the peak experts of the reincarnation stage had passed away in the shattered space, but they didn't know that the one who had passed away was the Devouring Lord, one of the 8 ancient lords. Nevertheless, this did not stop them from being covetous. Just the inheritance of a peak reincarnation stage expert was enough to drive them crazy. This realization made Lin Dong smile bitterly. Thankfully, the news about the Devouring Lord had not yet spread. Otherwise, some forces might even abandon their headquarters and rush over with all their men. At this point, the situation would have become chaotic, and as for the subsequent battles over the inheritance, they would have to take things one step at a time. On the 9th day, Lin Dong and his group finally reached the northernmost region of the demon realm. However, when they arrived, the scene before them caused the 7 of them to momentarily freeze in place. The northernmost part of the demon realm had originally been an extremely remote area, where, due to the harsh environment, few people ventured. Usually, it was nearly impossible to see a single person. But now, the 7 stood atop a mountain, looking down at a vast wasteland. Yet, at this moment, the wasteland was packed with people, a sea of black heads stretching far into the distance. The sound of the wind whistling through the air could be heard occasionally, and figures covered in dust and exhaustion continuously arrived. The deafening clamor and noise mixed together, so intense that even the cold, harsh gale enveloping the land seemed to have been shaken apart. The overwhelming atmosphere was evident. This is too much. Heavenly Dragon Demon Commander grinned and couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. This place looked more like a bustling city than a wilderness, and with his keen eyesight, he could tell that nearly everyone here possessed considerable strength. Any one of them, if released, would be able to rise to a prominent position within a faction. But now, there were so many of them. It was like a field of cabbages. Originally, it wouldn't have been like this, but everyone's in such a hurry, rushing over here like wildfire. With such a scene, how could it not draw attention? Lindong shook his head and said, "This extreme northern region has intense gales, and right now, it seems to be the most ferocious period. Ordinary, strong individuals wouldn't dare to rashly enter." Xiao Jiao gazed into the depths of the wasteland, where the sky appeared a dull white, and the gales there were extremely fierce. Even reincarnation stage experts would find themselves in a difficult position if they encountered a storm formed by these gales. The natural disasters in these dangerous areas were also fearsome. Perhaps we still need to wait here for a while." Lindong nodded slightly. Just as his words fell, his expression suddenly changed, and his gaze turned towards the southern sky. There, a 9-colored light was rapidly spreading across the sky. Within the light, a giant 9-colored bird, several thousand feet long, flapped its massive wings and tore through space, heading this way. On the back of the giant bird, Lindong sensed an extremely powerful aura. "It's the 9 Phoenix clan." Xiao Jiao glanced at the giant bird and said indifferently. Upon hearing this, Lindong's eyes narrowed. Due to the attack on the 4-Elephant Palace by the Mang Mountain clan, he had a rather unfavorable impression of the 9 Phoenix clan. Beside him, the Zhou brothers frowned slightly, their expressions darkening. When the 8 figures appeared, Lindong's gaze immediately turned towards them. At the head of the group was a man dressed in luxurious robes. The man was handsome, with fair skin, though his hair had turned a mix of gray and white. However, from the immense fluctuations emanating from his body, it was clear that he appeared to be a young old monster, despite his appearance. Such powerful strength. Lindong's eyes narrowed as he looked at the gray-haired man. The aura radiating from the man even made him feel a sense of dread. The power he felt was likely on par with that of Zhuli, the elder of the heavenly demon Mink clan. "That is the grand elder of the 9 Phoenix clan, Mu Di." Zhou suddenly spoke up, his voice tinged with deep hatred. Lindong glanced at Zhou, his thoughts becoming clearer. It seemed that this was the man who had chased them out of the western sand domain, leaving them like stray dogs fleeing in all directions. Lindong's gaze shifted past Mu Di and paused again when he saw a familiar face. It was Luo Tong, the mystic king of Mang Mountain, also a member of the 9 Phoenix clan. It seemed he had come along as well. "Seems like a narrow path for enemies," Lindong remarked with a faint smile as he looked at Luo Tong. As Lindong fixed his gaze on Luo Tong, the latter seemed to sense it, and his eyes shifted. When their gazes met, Luo Tong's expression froze for a moment, his face darkening with a cold look. He stepped forward and whispered something in Moody's ear. After Luo Tong finished speaking, the Grand Elder of the 9 Phoenix clan, Mu Di, turned his gaze toward Lindong's group. "Heh, you must be the new punishment elder of the Dragon clan?" Mu Di's eyes glinted with mockery as he stared at Lindong. His voice, though soft, spread through the air like thunder, attracting the attention of numerous powerful figures. Seeing this, Lindong knew there was no way to avoid the situation, so he smiled and responded, "That's me. I wonder if Grand Elder Mu Di has any advice?" The Dragon Clan has always been known for its rules, but Yuan Qian this time has clearly lost his mind, handing the punishment elder position to a mere human. "Truly laughable," Mu Di said coldly. "Perhaps Grand Elder Mu Di is not in a position to comment on the affairs of the Dragon Clan?" Lindong smiled slightly, his tone not showing any sign of fear despite the other man's immense power. As soon as Lindong spoke, the previously noisy atmosphere grew tense. Many powerful figures looked at him in surprise. After all, it was rare for someone to speak so boldly in front of Mu Di after learning of his identity. Some of the strong warriors who knew the grudges between the 4-Elephant Palace and Mang Mountain couldn't help but smile to themselves. Behind Mang Mountain was the 9 Phoenix clan, and it was clear that Mu Di, the Grand Elder, still held a grudge over the 4-Elephant Palace's defeat of Mang Mountain last time. Now he was here looking for a fight. However, while the 9 Phoenix clan was strong, this human leader from the 4-Elephant Palace didn't seem to be an easy opponent either. "Impudent. What are you, to dare speak to the Grand Elder in such a manner?" Luo Tong roared in anger, his voice harsh. To complement his rage, the several people standing beside him all had cold expressions, and overwhelming waves of power erupted from them. Every one of them possessed incredible strength at the reincarnation stage. It seemed that the Nine Phoenix clan had truly invested a great deal this time. A cold glint flashed in Lin Dong's eyes, but just as he was about to speak, a loud laugh, accompanied by the sound of a dragon's roar, echoed from the distant horizon. Haha, my dragon clan's punishment elder is someone a waste like you, Luo Tong, can shout at? Do you really think your Nine Phoenix clan can trample over my dragon clan? The dragon's roar reverberated across the sky. Countless eyes turned in unison, and soon they saw a series of figures flickering in the distance.